Okay, so assuming you guys have that down, and this is particularly difficult with the setup that I have here. If you guys have a pair of legs that you can work with an actual person, it's going to be easier. So, they're just going to stand, arms behind their backs or someplace neutral, and just let you work with them. So again, this is going to be the left leg that I'm going to be going off of. I'm going to put my head underneath my arm, and I'm going to get all the way around. Now, when I get around, what I want to do, and this is what's kind of difficult because half my body's off the mat now, and I'm not quite able to get into the right position because I don't really have enough lateral stability with this, but I want to come up on my shoulders as I finish this up. And what's going to happen is that I'm going to tuck this foot under the butt and shoot my knee between their legs, and then bring this foot up, and I'm going to put my heel on, toes out here. Now, what I tend to find here, usually, actually, I'm going to be more like this. So I'm really, really high up here on my shoulders, right? I'm getting off the ground as much as possible. And so what's going to happen here, usually because of the force of that spin and me making contact and having this little trip here, is that this leg's going to collapse almost every single time. And if it doesn't, guys, that's okay. You just kind of pinch your knees together. You can move this way, and that's going to upset that base, and he's going to go over. And so what we're doing, right? Let's see if I can do it without the pole here, but I do the little Imanari roll, and then I come up, shoot through, foot on the heel, foot tucked under the hips there, right? And as high as I can get. And a lot of times what's going to happen is people are going to fall down. Now when they fall down, this foot is going to usually be in my armpit at the very end of this, right? So I came around, I got up tall, I got through, and I've got hold of this leg, right? It's really hard to do with a 2x4. And then I'm going to dump him off to the side. And because I've got this leg, the thing I'm mostly set up for here is going to be a heel hook, which again, not something that I'm planning on teaching you guys, at least not for a very long time. And so the other thing, what I can do from that position, since I've got, like, when I'm finishing a straight ankle lock, I'm basically already in that position, right? This foot, right, that ended up between the legs, and this one's tucked in the butt, that's exactly where I want this one. This one's on the hip and it's turned out, and then I can pinch my legs together so that he can't take his legs back, but I really want to make sure that my foot is on that hip, right? I don't want him coming up. And so what I can do from here is I can start to bridge past his leg over, right? Then I'm going to lean onto it, pinching my knees together here, and then I'll hook and then go for that straight ankle lock, which we will go over just relatively soon. The kind of the details on that one is that this arm that's going underneath the ankle, I kind of want it right here in this little nubbin, right at the base of the Achilles tendon, but before the talus, that bone at the very bottom there. So I kind of want to launch there, but that's not necessarily the most important thing. The most important thing is that right here, right where my toes can start to articulate, if not like a 1/4 inch lower, right? Somewhere in this area, I want to have planted firmly onto the back of my armpit there, where I've got the attachment for the latissimus dorsi, right? And so what I want to do with this is I actually want to start breaking the foot this way, right? A lot of people like try to come up and they put the pressure here and they try to break from this point, but you guys look at how the foot tapers out. This is strong. You've got a lot of little tarsals, metatarsals, and whatnot in here. You've got a fair amount of ligaments and tendinous structure in here. So this is hard to break. This is not, right? So we go here, we break the top of the foot. And if we need to adjust, if you broke the top of the foot and they didn't tap, you can start working your way up. I probably, if I was in a self-defense situation or something where actually I had to break multiple parts of the foot, I probably at that point would transition to like a toe hold or a heel hook. And remember, the reason why I'm not teaching you heel hooks is because when you start twisting this lower part of the leg, this is the heel's where I grip. It's not what I'm trying to break. It's actually the knee. And so I'm isolating the femur so it can't rotate, and then I'm rotating the tibia and the fibula there. And what's going to happen is that this is going to dislocate here. And because you don't have the, your nerves don't tell you that you are in really, really bad trouble here, when you go for that heel hook, it's like, okay, that's slightly uncomfortable. Oh my God, I can't walk for a year. Right? So it's really that little of a difference. Whereas with the ankle lock, you're going to tap relatively soon. Now, a lot of times, and this is very common for newbies and whatnot, is that they'll put a lot of pressure, higher up on the calf or even into the Achilles tendon there. And what's going to happen is people are like, oh, I'm getting the tap all the time because I'm basically doing like a calf slicer on here because I'm leveraging up into that. And that's not really what we're trying to do. We're really trying to attack and break that foot. Now, since I'm already kind of going over the details of that, so I find that position here, right, where their foot is trapped here and I've got my arm underneath the Achilles tendon. As much as I can, I tend to like to start with my arm perpendicular to their leg. And a lot of times you can just grab and pull up on your wrist like this, right, to get that nice and cinched down. Once you have that, and I've got, the leg clamp here, right, this leg is tucked in, this foot's tucked in the butt, this one's attached onto the hip, pushing him because I don't want him standing up. The way that he's going to be able to get out of this is he's going to try to go deeper, right? So instead of me being on his foot, he wants me up here on my calf and whatnot. And so he's going to try to stomp his foot down. He's going to try to come up on me. This little push with this foot on the hip is what's preventing him from doing that. And I want to maintain that. So I've got that grip here. I'm holding up like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse this elbow, right? And I'm going to start looking at the mat as I start to elongate my body. Now, what people a lot of times will try to do is right, they get on their back, are stuck on their elbow, and so they're not quite finishing that movement. So it's really, really important when I get this position that I am collapsing this elbow, right, and then coming up and twisting. I'm looking at the mat, the direction I want to go, and that's what's going to break it. So all the little pieces are there. I wasn't able to show it on a person, but that's going to be your kind of base concept of getting to that ankle lock. So again, so I'm here, my person stood up, my feet right now are together like this, right? So basically if I need to fall down, I need to put a hook in, it's really easy for me to do that. A lot of times in this position, if I can't, for whatever reason, like he's being a pain in the ass and I can't get a grip with my hands, I'm going to get my foot in, I'm going to get a little hook there. And just anything to create some level of contact so he can't just run away or come up on top of me. Now, he's never going to be able to circle around, right? I can totally move faster because I'm the center of the wheel than he can on the outside. But, so I've got this. Maybe I didn't get that hook yet, whatever, but he's planted pretty well onto this leg for a second. Maybe he's looking like he's going to shoot in or try to knock me down. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go basically index finger in. I'm going to turn my palm down as I put my head underneath. And then I'm going to shoot. Once I get through, I'm going to shoot and get high here. This knee pushes through and I'm pinching in. I'm hooking under the butt with this foot. This foot is on my hip. Toes are pointed out. And the reason why I'm saying toes pointed out for right now is that if we really, really cross on here, we're putting ourselves in this position that's called the knee reap. And you could really blow somebody's knee out on it. It's not really, in my opinion, it's not really as dangerous as people make it out to be, but it's a good practice. If you ever start competing in a tournament, I think probably at least up until brown belt. Like brown belt, you might start being able to reap the knee and whatnot, but generally speaking, it's frowned upon. So I pinch my knees together, he falls down. Once he's fallen down, right, I maintain this grip, right? My knee is tucked under, but it's really tight here. I'm pinching my knees together. This is my block on the hip. I bridge up for half a second to pass the leg over. I come up and I tuck his toes in. And if I have to, guys, what I'll do here a lot of times is if I'm not in the right position, right, I'm way too low on the foot, I'm not going to just try to come up here, right? At first, I'm going to scoop my hips back, right? And that's going to allow me to come back here, right? I'm keeping this pitch, right? So I'm not letting go of the leg as I'm doing that, but I'm pushing out a little bit so I can get into that right position, and that's going to help me like move my forearm to that spot on his Achilles, and I get up and I collapse on here. I'm going to pull this up tight. If we were wearing a gi, I would just be, cinching my lapel up to kind of hold on to this. But I don't have that because we're going no gi right now. So what I'm going to do here, right, I've got that nice pinch here. I'm going to collapse my shoulder, look, and extend. All right? So that's your Imanari roll, which would definitely go into a heel hook, but because we're not doing heel hooks, we transitioned into a straight ankle lock, and then we finished that ankle lock. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get on to the next one.